The moment I stepped into the courtroom, my daughter wouldn't even look me in the eyes. She smiled. My son-in-law quietly shook his head, convinced this would be the easiest case they'd ever win. They believed I was just an old retired man with no lawyer, no influence, and no chance. But then, the judge looked up, froze for several seconds, and his face lost all color. His hand began to tremble as he whispered words that nobody expected to hear. My God, is it really him? Suddenly, the entire courtroom turned around to stare at me. No one there knew the truth about who I really was. And what happened next changed every single life inside that courtroom forever. For most of my life, I believed family was stronger than money. I worked 42 years serving justice. Long hours, missed birthdays, sleepless nights. Every sacrifice had one purpose: to give my daughter, Olivia, the life I never had. When my wife passed away from cancer, Olivia was all I had left. I thought we would become even closer. Instead, something changed after she married Ethan. At first, Ethan treated me with respect. He always called me dad, always offered to help. But little by little, his kindness disappeared. Every conversation somehow became about my retirement savings, my house, or my investments. Dad, you should simplify your estate. Dad, you don't need such a big house. Dad, wouldn't assisted living make life easier? I smiled politely every time. Inside, something didn't feel right. A few months later, Olivia surprised me. Dad, we think you should transfer your house to us now. I laughed, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. We're your only family, she said. It'll save legal trouble later. I refused. Everything changed after that conversation. Phone calls stopped. Holiday invitations disappeared. My own daughter slowly erased me from her life. 6 months later, I was served with court papers. My daughter was suing me. The accusation was unbelievable. She claimed I was mentally incapable of managing my finances and requested the court appoint her as my legal guardian. If she won, she would gain control over my home, my savings, and every financial decision I made. When I read the documents, I didn't feel anger, only heartbreak. The hearing arrived. I walked into the courthouse wearing my oldest gray suit. No expensive lawyer, no bodyguards, just me. Across the room sat Olivia and Ethan. She smiled confidently. He shook his head, almost feeling sorry for me. They truly believed victory was guaranteed. The courtroom became silent as the judge entered. He opened the case file. Then, he looked directly at me. His expression changed instantly. His eyes widened. He removed his glasses, then quietly whispered, "My God." He stood up. "Is it really you?" The courtroom fell completely silent. Even Olivia looked confused. The judge slowly walked down from the bench. Instead of speaking to the attorneys, he came directly toward me. He extended his hand. "Sir, I never thought I'd see you again." Everyone stared. The attorneys exchanged nervous looks. My daughter looked terrified. The judge turned toward the courtroom. "For those who don't know, this man once saved my legal career." Gasps echoed through the room. Years earlier, the judge had been a young law clerk who made a devastating mistake during one of the biggest corruption trials in the state. The evidence could have been thrown out. His career would have ended before it even began. At that time, I was serving as chief ethics investigator for the Judicial Review Commission. Instead of destroying his future, I spent weeks proving the mistake was honest rather than intentional. I protected the integrity of the court while giving a young man a second chance. That young law clerk eventually became the judge standing before me. He looked at me with respect. "You taught me that justice without compassion isn't justice at all." The courtroom was speechless. Olivia's smile disappeared, but the surprises weren't over. My attorney finally stood up. Yes, I had hired one. Quietly, weeks before, he placed several folders before the judge. Inside were medical evaluations proving I was mentally healthier than average for my age, financial records showing I managed every investment personally, security footage showing Ethan repeatedly attempting to pressure me into signing property documents, voice recordings, messages, emails. Every attempt to manipulate me had been carefully documented. The judge spent nearly an hour reviewing everything. Then he looked directly at Olivia. "Did you know about these actions?" She couldn't answer. Tears filled her eyes. She finally whispered, "I trusted my husband." Ethan interrupted. "She's lying." But his own text messages told another story. The evidence showed months of planning. Their lawsuit had never been about protecting me. It had always been about taking control of my assets. The judge returned to the bench. His decision was immediate. The petition is denied. The court finds overwhelming evidence that the petitioner acted in bad faith. Then came something nobody expected. The judge referred the case for investigation into possible elder financial exploitation and attempted fraud. Ethan's face turned white. Olivia broke down crying. Court officers escorted Ethan from the courtroom for further questioning. Before leaving, he looked back at Olivia. Not with love, with blame. She realized too late. She had sacrificed her father for someone who had only wanted money. Weeks later, Olivia came to my house alone. No makeup, no expensive clothes, no confidence, just tears. She stood on the porch holding a small photo album. "Dad, I'm so sorry." We sat together for hours looking through old family pictures. For the first time in years, she wasn't asking for anything. She simply wanted her father back. Forgiveness wasn't immediate. Trust rarely returns overnight. But little by little, we rebuilt what greed had nearly destroyed. Today, she visits every Sunday. Not because of inheritance, because family matters again. My estate plan hasn't changed. But one thing has. This time, the greatest inheritance I can leave my daughter isn't my house. It's the lesson that honesty is worth far more than wealth. That day, everyone believed an old man was about to lose everything. Instead, the truth exposed those who valued money more than family. Never underestimate someone simply because they choose humility over attention. Sometimes the quietest person in the room carries the strongest story. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes integrity always wins in the end.